Good evening, race fans. Welcome to the Duels for ERSCA. I'm your host, David Westergreen. With me is Carlos Acosta. Dom Santino will be joining us later. And this will be the Days Gone By Duels at Daytona. And we are getting ready to have a wild night. There's going to be at least 54 cars trying to make it into next week's final race. At Daytona. It'll be the third week in a row we've run this track with these cars, the COT cars. This is going to be a wild afternoon and / night of racing. We're going to have two separate 30-lap heats in this one, and it's going to all start off with qualifying here in a few minutes. I think in 7 minutes, or maybe in 2 minutes, qualifying goes green. When that hits, there will be 10 minutes for all these guys to do 2 laps, and the fastest 7 of all the open drivers will make it into the feature next week. The top 30 in points last year are locked in that returned. So there's, I think 43 spots total up for grabs. The first 7 going to those qualifying times, and then the next 6 will be the top 6 finishers in each dual race. So I talked to Johnny about this. It's a little bit complicated. The tiebreaker is going to be qualifying time. So the top open guys in this heat are going to be, or in this qualifying session, those are going to be the guys who are safe, and then the borderline guys are going to be the ones 8 through 15 or so, and those guys will have to be racing their way in. I think we're going to have around 20 or 30 total open drivers. A lot of big names, a lot of members of the bigger teams are in those situations. It'll be none of those guys that we saw race last year. The Ryan Lutzes of the world are all going to be locked into the feature next week. Guys like Ethan Burrell, Tate Lytle, they're all locked in. They won't be at risk of missing the race here next week. And in fact, everyone in the top 30 from last year will be locked into the first 5 events. With an entry list approaching 60 cars, it's definitely a blessing to be locked into a race like this and to the first 5 races to build up that points gap in case you do happen to miss one of these races. Because I think that's definitely going to be feasible down the road for a lot of these guys. Right now, though, we've seen these guys run at last week in the shootout. And we saw Ryan Lutz really dominate the race. He and Tate Lytle and Matthew Weeks all up front, showing off speed and control of these big cars. But in the end, it was Josh Adams taking home the shootout win, and I think that's got to make him maybe the preemptive favorite for his dual race today. And those other 3 guys, I think, would be your other favorites. Ethan Burrell was also fast. It was a lot of the guys who were really fast last year. And so I'm looking really forward to seeing who among the newcomers is going to be one of those guys who can get up there and race with some of these guys like Ryan Lutz, Ethan Burrell, Tate Lytle. I envision that it's going to be a real similar look in one of these races to the shootout. I think we're going to be single file a lot. There could be a really big crash, I think, given that we're going to have a pair of like 30-car fields. But qualifying is beginning now, 10 minutes to get 2 laps in, and the top open guys are going to be locked into the field for next week's Daytona 250. Once we get there, we'll also interview the pole winner. The front row, just like the real Daytona 500, will be set by qualifying. And we'll try to keep track of as many of these guys as we can as we roll through the qualifying order. So first on track, 26 of Dallas Myhan driving for Shift Esports this year. Myhan has to qualify in on time. Another one would be Joe Francis, I believe, there in the 50 car. We've seen him around a couple of times in this series. 43 car on track there, and as well as the 47. There's your boy Cameron Rich, Carlos's pick each and every week. And we'll watch Rich traverse this 2.5 mile speedway at approaching 220 miles per hour with no restrictor plate on that car. Rich is locked in by virtue of being the championship runner-up last year, so he'll be racing next week, and he's approaching this as a second lap, fast lap type of qualifying run. And I talked to a bunch of the guys down in the garage area, and all of them were kind of split on what to do with this first lap. The tires scrub off a lot of speed, so some of them are approaching it really, really simply. Some of them are approaching it, use the tires on the first lap, try to get as much as you can. Some guys are going for that second lap. Here's another newcomer, Drew Eisenman, early pole leader. Now he's going to lose that, though. But this car right here, that 66, that's a beautiful paint scheme. And wonder if it's going to be locked into the field. Here's someone who's using this first lap as to keep the tires clean. Scott Crump going a very light approach to this first lap. I think he'll open it up on the back straightaway and try to warm up the momentum there. Not really approaching it similarly to a standard plate race. Josh Robin in the 8 car. Down the back straightaway in the Ford. 4 manufacturers with this car. We'll see the Fords, Toyotas, Dodges, and Chevrolets all out. And there's 2 different noses on the Chevrolets, so be on the lookout for more of a Z01 style nose as Josh Clark pounds the wall in the Toyota. That may ruin his qualifying run. Here's Jordan Owens. That's a car locked into the field. Early returns on the leader. It's Gerald Campbell currently locked in. Jeff Green, he'll be locked into the feature as well. Running for Johnny Thomas Racing. The 2000 Busch Series champion there, Jeff Green. How about Nick Massey? Looks like Trading Paints might not have loaded in for him. He's going to be one of those guys to watch for the championship. Andy Trupiano currently to the top of the board, and that is definitely an open car. That lap might get Trupiano locked into the field. Robin now takes the top spot in the 8. And it's back and forth. Robin with a 41.67. That is a strong lap. A lot of guys still to go, though, including some potential pole threats. Dylan Thomas, Nick Indelicato, among others. I think Trupiano might be the first one I would consider locked into the field, though. Among these open guys, you have to be careful with this. Jared Rexing ran a really good lap. He'll likely be locked into the feature with that. Dallas Myhan's got a good lap down. He'll probably be in. 00 car. That is Jared Mogard, one of our chase drivers from last year. Hank Steinmiller, this is a car that needs to qualify in or race his way in. Hank was around for several races last year, but unable to acquire enough points to lock himself into the first 5 races. By the way, James Heater has taken the 2nd spot on the grid so far with a 41.708. Let's see what Hank Steinmiller puts up. 7.79. That'll be good enough to be, I think, the 3rd open car. Might be the 2nd open car, actually, by my calculations. There's Kwame Scott. See if he has anything for him. Only a couple of cars left to make their runs. Cooper Johnson is one in the 14. He'll be needing to race his way in, or lock his way in. Scott in the 99. He'll need to, I believe he's locked. And then Garen Turner in the 20. He's also going to need to qualify or race his way in the 20 car. This is Dylan Thomas as well. Dylan's going to need to qualify or race. Actually, Dylan's locked in. I believe Dylan is locked. Got to keep my cars straight here. Thomas might be a threat for the pole, though, and I think he's one of those guys that's going to have every shot at winning this race and even maybe winning this championship this season. Cooper Johnson, I think, is the last go-home car who could lock himself in that still got to run a lap. And if the 14 can make his way through, yeah, Thomas spins out, but he's locked into the feature. No worry there. It's going to be all on Garen Turner and Cooper Johnson. Turner not able to muster much. Where's Cooper Johnson at the line? That was his first lap. So this is it for Cooper Johnson. He and Garen Turner running their last laps, and I think that might be it. Might see some late entrants like Ryan Lutz to the server here right at the end. But if Lutz can't make it, he'll still be locked into the next week's race. Turner finishes his lap, didn't do much better. 32nd for him. Let's see what Cooper Johnson has. It's not going to be better. Johnson well down the order. So, by my count, and it's not official at all, I'll get him when I can here, but Andy Trupiano will be in. Hank Steinmiller will be in. Jared Rexing will be in. I believe Joshua Sobel will be in. I need to check a few more names here. I think Jared Darling has qualified in. Dallas Myhand, and then I think it'll be Chris Worrell would be the last one. The Myhand might be the last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, Worrell would be the last one. Christopher Darling would have missed and be the first one out, so he would have the first tiebreaker. Also, I think probably letting the time run out, letting some of these extra guys who haven't signed into the session yet maybe get logged in so they can get into one of the heats. About a minute left. And for now, I think what we're going to have is Josh Robin winning the pole and James Heater qualifying second. Those guys will lock in their front row starting spots. Oh, and see James Holzer in the 17. That's a car that is open that I completely missed. So Holzer qualified fourth. He'll be locked in, as well as Trupiano, Hank Steinmiller, Jared Rexing, Joshua Sobel, Jared Darling, and Dallas Myhand. Makes it by the skin of his teeth. The difference was 5 1,000ths of a second between Myhand and Chris Worrell. And so Myhand will be locked in. Worrell will need to race his way in, as well as Christopher Darling, Mark Whitley, Cooper Johnson, Drew Eisenman, Daniel Martinez, Trey Holmes, and more. And now we're joined by Dom Santina. We've just wrapped up qualifying, Dom, and it's Josh Robin and James Heater on the front row. And Robin will lead down the first of the 2 dual races tonight.
Yeah, guys, sorry for joining late. I just told Johnny that I think I figured out how this won't happen again. So from now on, I'll be in here on a more timely manner. We'll make sure we get in here and ready to go. But I'm excited for some dual racing here tonight and ready to see how we're going to start this starting lineup for the Daytona 250 coming up next week.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a wild race. I think I'm a little surprised by some of this qualifying runs. Andy Trupiano there in third. He's locked into the feature with that qualifying run. Same for Josh Sobel and Jared Rexing there in 6th and 8th. And Dallas Myhand there in 10th. So those 3 guys are all ready to go, locked into the feature. 4 guys in the top 10, all open drivers. Mark Whitley will be the first one who's got to race his way in among this top 10.
I mean, if we saw it last week with the Clash, it's going to be intense racing. It's going to be fun to watch, and it should start here in this Clash and just carry in through the rest of the week into the Daytona 250. So we'll see, especially these guys having to race their way in. They're going to be aggressive right off the start.
Yeah, I think we'll see. I talked to a bunch of the drivers here in that pre-race show, and a bunch of them were interested in hanging back, but some of them said their plan was to drive up to the front. They thought that would be the safest place to be. Here in this second group, you've got Matthew Bayuk. He was one of the ones who was like, I want to drive to the front. I want to see if I can be ahead of the Big Rex. Daniel Martinez still have to race his way in. Same for Trey Holmes. Same for Adam Lichty. As we scroll through the back of the field, some of these guys back here, like Dylan Thomas, Jared Mogard, not able to get really good qualifying runs in. They will be coming from the back to set their spot for the Daytona 250 next week. Joining us now will be Tate Lytle, and Tate's going to be in the second race. But Tate, how's that qualifying run, man? You're starting, what, 9th in the second race?
Yeah, it wasn't quite what we wanted. It felt better than it actually was, I think. But Robin and I think it was, who else is on the front row there? We got Heater. They put down some pretty good laps, so good for those guys. But yeah, I definitely thought that I'd give myself a little bit better of a run there, but what can you do?
Now, Tate, what's the strategy for your teammates kind of in this race? I know you got a couple of guys in here that are not locked in, like Dane Martinez and Trey Holmes. Any strategy from like Matthew Weeks to go back there and try to push those guys into the top 6?
I feel like Weeks needs to fight for himself there, just because track position is going to be so tough to come by. He needs to stay up there and hope that they can get up to him. But yeah, it looks like Trey's starting 16th here. Martinez starting 15th, so they're gonna have their work cut out for them coming through the pack there. And I think the way that they're doing it, you probably know better than I would, which is probably not a good thing, but top finishers regardless of duels. So if you finish second in Duel 1, you beat out the guy that finishes third in Duel 2 is kind of how they're doing it. So they need to get up there and get as far up front as they can. Can't afford to bend up too much sheet metal while they're doing it either.
All right. And what's the level of aggressiveness going to be for someone who's locked in, especially from your well, let's start the race here. We're coming to the green. I'll ask you that question once we get going here. Josh Robin leading the field down. Jeff Green alongside. We will be green in the ERSCA Duels at Daytona, presented by Belly Up Sports. Scott Crump starting for
there.
I'm kind of interested in to see whether or not Scott Crump can get up there and take the lead of this thing. I think he's been one of those guys that's been pretty consistent in these practice sessions.
Yeah, the tough thing for him, and same thing for what I'll be dealing with here in a handful of minutes, is starting on the outside. We saw in the clash the other night during the nighttime that the outside wasn't too bad, but I don't think that. I think it's gonna be quite a bit worse here in the duels with the daylight. You're gonna want to get to the bottom and pretty much stay there until you can have the tire advantage.
Too wide, several rows deep. Matthew Weeks jumped to the top there behind Jeff Green. Tucks back in line behind Cameron Rich as everyone tries to stream on by those cars that started up in the top lane.
Yeah, and Crump, I think he started 4th in this race. He's fallen. He's flirting with falling outside the top 10 here. I think he's going to maybe stay just barely inside the top 10 behind Rexing there in the 07 car.
I wonder if there's something else that can be done for those guys in the outside lane, maybe making a deal to get down to the bottom. Maybe some of you guys in the second race need to, get on your wagon and start trying to wheel and deal for a spot in the bottom, because it definitely looks like the bottom lane is the strong one here as Robin comes around to complete lap 3.
Looks like Adam's going to try and get underneath Leininger there.
Damian hated his car running the top lane. He immediately tries to drive it down to the bottom again. But he said he just pushes a ton whenever he gets up in the top lane in the middle.
Yeah.
Rich slicing to the bottom, trying to go underneath Green. I think Green's going after Trupiano.
Yeah, he's going to get him there too. Rich is probably going to follow suit, and Trupiano's going to try and squeeze between the 47 and the 11. The 47 gets a bad exit, though, and the 11 thought about putting it 3 wide there. Probably a good call to not do that, but he's going to have the preferred line getting into turn 1 anyway.
Jeff Green back to second. 2000 Busch Series champion on his horse.
He's not afraid to get aggressive in these races. We've seen it. Seen it in ERSCA. We've seen it in the lead. He'll do what he thinks he's got to do to go up there and try and get the win. And I think he's a good a bet as anybody. As Weeks thinks about going below Rich. Rich actually gives him the bottom, which, well, like Trupiano is probably going to cost him a few spots here as long as those guys in the bottom are able to get organized. And Rich almost puts it in the fence off turn 4, which is another thing you guys are going to have to watch, not only tonight, but next Monday, is that turn 4 wall comes up very fast when you're going 220 miles an hour. And they're wrecking behind him. Yeah.
Caution.
Trying to see who
Big
that
wreck.
is.
85 car. That's not a locked-in car right there. He's going to be heading backwards.
I see Sherman in it.
Ooh.
Mogard's in it. Owen sneaks through. Zach Evans is in it big. Kendall Noah player. Kevin
Zach
Finn
Evans
is back there, but he looks fine. And Wyatt Nadel his race is over.
Zach Evans told me before this race that he was just out here to have fun. And, man, looks like a bump gone wrong there between the 78 and the 85. Clears out Mogard, clears out Sherman. 13
Clark
right
got a
at the
good piece of
end.
that too.
Tough break.
Yeah,
For
Clark's
a lot
got
of
some
these
red front
guys.
damage.
Yep, Kendall Noah player is going to have a bunch of damage.
Yeah, these cars are pretty resilient, so I think as long as it's not too bad. It looks like Robert Hill's got some damage too.
Dylan Thomas in there as well in the 03.
Yeah. Ooh, big damage for Dylan Thomas.
This might be the toughest break of them all right here. Ooh, just clipped in the right rear. Instead of missing the wreck, you're involved in it.
Yeah, and it's another thing about going that fast is it's hard to get it slowed down. Yeah, Wyatt, his rear axle's. Yeah, he doesn't have anything left in that thing, I don't think. Unfortunately for him, he's left the server. So is Sherman, so those two for sure are both out of the race.
Sherman is locked. He'll be in there. He'll be in there next week. But I believe Wyatt is not. And so Wyatt going home without a berth in the Daytona 250 next week. The first one definitely out of it.
Yeah, Sherman, he's going to have a tough starting spot.
Yep. But, you know, we've seen a number of times that the guy in the back, maybe he can stay out of trouble, though. In this case, it was impossible to stay out of trouble in the back. Seemed like everybody got involved was running, 15th on back right there in that one.
And that was lap 4 of the duel.
Yep.
So you can only imagine how this is going to amp up in the next week or so.
Yeah, and I would hope these guys kind of relax a little, take it easy next week, considering it's a much longer race. We'll have many more laps to get through.
Jared Mogard also locked into the event. He has pulled it off the track and left the server as well, so he'll be another one starting way back in the pack there. He's very capable of winning races in these cars too, so it'll be fun for you guys to watch him make his way toward the front next week.
Now, who I'm looking for, I kind of want to jump back onto that Rex start if we can, Carlos. Maybe I wanted to check who it was that bumped the 85. So Wyatt was the one who got spun. And I wanted to see if it was the 75. It's the 78 car. Number 75 in the server. I think that's who it's going to be. Here's another look at it. I just wanted to see if there was any reason, rhyme or reason behind this, or if this is just incidental contact, you know what I mean? Because it just seems like it's too early in the race to be, it looks like Wyatt maybe got a little loose before he ever got there.
Maybe a little bit, but that 78 sure drove it off in there pretty hard, considering the circumstances you're in, and you can see Clark getting that right front damage right there, and the 94 of Kendall Noah player coming down and getting a couple more, and Mogard there to.
That's Adam Lakety in the 78 there, and he'll be hard pressed to make it into the feature at this point. And at this point, if you're an open driver in race 2, that took out a lot of your competition. It is going to be pretty easy for guys who are not locked into the feature in the next race to make it. Right now, I mean, the top runners are Trey Holmes and Daniel Martinez, I believe, by my count, that are not locked in, and Mark Whitley in the 77. So Mark Whitley is 9th. He'll be the top running car that's not already locked into the race.
How many open cars are they taking from the duels?
6, and it's just the top 6 finishers. So,
okay.
If Mark finishes 9th, all you would have to do to lock yourself in from that second race is finish 8th or better. So if I'm in that second race, I'm licking my chops. Same for Trey Holmes and Daniel Martinez. Those guys might want to get on their horse and get up through the field a little bit, lock in a good spot, make it difficult for those guys in the second race.
Yeah, they just need to hug the bottom. They got 22 laps here. If this run goes green, the tires will start to deteriorate on a lot of these top cars. They're green again. Robin got another good jump on Jeff Green. We'll see how Jeff Green does here on the top line.
Yep. Green might lose it to Matthew Weeks here, and Weeks has been strong all through the practice sessions, finished runner-up in the shootout. Weeks is one of those guys that I've had my eye on in terms of the challenger for this thing. He's put in a lot of laps. He's put in a lot of work. He's slicing to the bottom looking for the lead.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's pretty smart with the tires. Me and him definitely felt like we were going rounds.
Ooh, Adams in the wall.
Race. Yeah, Adams in the fence. They're spreading now, which is dangerous at 230 mile an hour.
They made it. Adams will fall back, though, the shootout winner. Gonna have to regroup. And, oh, man, he almost puts Trey Holmes to the apron.
I don't know if that's a move I'd be making on an open car like that, but...
Yep. Holmes has to race his way in. He had to let him go. He didn't want to get wrecked. Otherwise, you're not in the race.
Exactly. And it looks like Weeks, Trupiano, Green, your top 3. Robin has fallen back to 4th off of that start.
Leininger 5th. Whitley. Mark Whitley, newcomer to the ERSCA Series, a rookie. He's up there in 6th spot now, fighting for it with Cameron Rich. Nick Massey up on the top as well. Jared Rexing qualified his way in the 07 Dodge. Back there in 9th, that's where the big battle is. As Weeks, Trupiano, and Green line it up and try to pull away from the rest of the field. And this is pretty wild, and I'm going to, run it by you, Tate. Some of these new guys, Trupiano, Mark Whitley, just about any of these guys that we haven't really raced with. We don't really have that experience of watching them in these ERSCA cars. What are the odds we just have a complete newcomer come in and start dominating these races once we go to places other than Daytona?
I don't know a whole lot about Whitley, but I know Trupiano's he holds a pretty steady wheel. I've raced with him a little bit in the Elite Modified series and a little bit otherwise. He's always up there battling for wins, so I would not be shocked if he comes out and starts lighting the world on fire, kind of like Cameron Rich did to us last year. But Mark Whitley, I have no idea, to be honest with you.
He's going to go right on around Andy Trupiano just like that. Jeff Green sliced to the bottom on the 7, and he took Josh Robin and now Whitley with him. Boy, this seems like such a race to protect the bottom. Everybody doing their absolute best to cut it to the apron, and whoever can get there first and keep it there. Those seem to be the fastest cars. Matthew Weeks holding serve up front. Jeff Green, he's been there all race. Same for Josh Robin. They are 1, 2, 3. Green all over the back bumper of Weeks up front. And the first open car is the 77 of Whitley.
Yeah, he's driving a really good race so far.
Yep, everybody really.
Yeah, Jeff Green I just saw him get super loose off turn 4 right there.
It is going to be.
So it's a balance. You gotta.
Ooh, Whitley almost lost it going into one. Rexing was all over him right there, and Trupiano jumped to the top. That might not work out for the 7 car.
Robin was loose just before that, too, so all 3 of those guys were really trying to hang on to their cars. Green trying to get another big run down the backstretch again.
Rexing to the top. Interesting choice by Rexing. He might make it stick. It might get in the wall.
Yeah, he got tight there. He's gonna have to give it back up and try and find another spot there on the bottom. But hey, he's trying to make it work, and that's what you need. Is you need guys up there trying to make it work.
Dallas Myhan in the back about became our first turn 4 victim. Right there, he came real mighty close to rubbing the right side off of the 26 car. Nick Massey's been the only one who's been working the top intentionally that I've seen, and he did it in the shootout too. And I'm wondering if there's anything to that. Robin fakes up top and jumps to the bottom. Green, though, gets the run. He's going to take the lead on Weeks, but Weeks coming back.
Yeah, Green got tight too. It's just so tight getting into turn 3, especially under the daylight condition. But with Massey, normally when Massey's doing something and you're scratching your head, he's not too far off. So I'd keep an eye on that one.
Oh, you always keep your eye on Nick Massey. He knows what he's doing. New car, same Nick Massey. He's going to be rock solid, steady, save his tires. He'll be there at the end when it counts. Kind of like the guy whose scheme he's driving. That guy used to always do the same stuff.
That he did.
Josh Robin's going to take second from Green here. Maybe not.
He'll get him through the corner here, I think. Oh, he got tight. He got tight in the wake of Weeks, and they're going to be side by side off 4. It is sketchy side by side off 4.
Whitley through the middle.
Oh, my word.
Robin was so out of shape, it gave the run to Whitley, and Whitley takes third. Man, that's an aggressive move for an open car. You make one mistake. That's all it takes. Oh, Whitley in the wall.
Oh, he's in the fence.
Green moved up just a little bit, and Whitley tried to, manage it, and I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah, these cars, they're pretty resilient, but he's going to lose a lot of spots. And you were kind of just saying that I don't know why he'd make a move like that as an open car. And, well, that's why I wouldn't advise it. He's got some right rear damage. Scott Crump's going to get by him.
That's tough.
Ninth place.
He is still the top open car. Oh, 2 more in the wall. Trupiano and 1 more. I think that's Sobel in the 76. Bounced off it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Sobel is locked in on speed, though. So not the end of the world for him.
Daniel Martinez is hot on the tail of Whitley for that top spot in the open category. But is it possible if none of these open guys can finish in the top 10, what are the odds that we get 6 drivers from Duel 2?
Non-zero. It's not a 0 chance. If 6 drivers finish in the top 10 in Duel 2 that are open, and Whitley finishes 10th, and everyone else is in front of him, Whitley goes home.
Yeah, I mean that's
so Martinez and Whitley, they need to push forward. They need to get as much as they can here.
Yeah, it looks like Josh Adams with that damage is holding them up a little bit too.
Yep.
Martinez is going to throw it to the bottom underneath Whitley. He's going to get the position into the corner.
That's a bold move.
Whitley in the fence a little bit again.
Man, that's a big move by Martinez, and he's in there too. Martinez flying through here. They were holding him up. I think that 9 car's got something for him. Josh Robin's out of shape. He's going to fall back several positions up front. That moves Damian Leininger up to 3rd. Rich to 4th, and
Crump having a lift as well.
Rich to 4th, Rexing to 5th. Robin back to 6th. The pole sitter. Leininger almost loses it off of 4.
Yeah,
they're trying to wreck up
We've
here.
seen it with Damian. Yeah, he's fast, but
Rexing! Whoo!
They're
right hanging him out.
Yeah, that right rear tire is screaming.
Now, tell you, you're not going to be wanting to do that. You don't want me to yell your name, I don't think, in this next race. I think you want to just be nice and calm and quiet right up there in the front like Matthew Weeks is.
I mean, that's a plan, but racing doesn't usually go according to plan.
Robin up top again. He's got a nice run, and Rexing's up to the outside of Leininger for 3rd. Ooh, Robin hit the wall. Pole sitter in the wall. He's going to spin it.
Oh, that's going to bring out a yellow, I think.
Oh. And he's kept it straight, but they're spinning in front of him.
Yeah, that's going to bring out
there it
Jordan
is.
Owens, Trey Holmes. Oh, man.
Oh,
Oh, Scott Crump just got wrecked. Daniel Martinez is in it. Oh, no, Trupiano.
A bunch of...
Oh, no.
That's going to need several replays.
That was...
What happened to Martinez? The front pack wrecked after the back pack had already finished wrecking. Adams was underneath Crump, and he just turned him.
Yeah, Adams got the spot on Crump, and
Martinez put it in the fence, trying to avoid him, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Martinez,
just going off the visual test, Martinez is going to have a ton of damage. He got hit on multiple fronts.
Owens,
and Trey Holmes, he got some big damage too. I know who that helps, and that's Robert Hill in the 0-5. He was able to sneak through that, I think, unscathed. I could be wrong with that statement.
I didn't see him get hit by anything. This is that front wreck. Crump involved. Adams just stuck it to the bottom with the caution out, and maybe Crump lifted. Adams didn't. Right there. There it is. And the spin. Trupiano.
If you got an extra second, you got to watch Robert Hill's view for this whole lap. He's got quite the visual of about 3 wrecks happening within half a lap of one another.
Here it is. There's one. That's Robin. Here's another one. The Owens and Holmes wreck.
Yeah, this gets a little pretty close right there. And then he's like, okay, sweet, I'm past it.
There's another one.
Robert Hill. You are not past it yet. Here we go. We're wrecking again. And
some stopped in the middle of the track. It looks like they're clear by the time he gets there, but
it's a lot of damage on that 9 machine.
Yep. A lot of them. And so everybody's coming to pit road, and Robert's up to 9th. You know, looking at it, there aren't a whole lot of cars left in this race. At least that are damage free. Your top 6 are damage free. That's Weeks, Green, Rexing, Leininger, Rich, Massey. I don't know who the next car is without damage.
Yeah, Josh Adams is going to have some. Yeah, I don't know. How did Mark Whitley make it through that?
He was far back because he hit the wall.
Oh, that's right.
So that'll do that. All right. So the race off pit road, Weeks wins it. Green 2nd, Jared Rexing 3rd, Leininger 4th, Rich 5th, Massey 6th, I think. Yeah, that's how they came off.
Whitley actually got a piece of that Jordan Owens wreck.
Well, the only solution is to fix it up and run as many laps as you can here. If you're the open car, lock in your best possible spot. Maybe all the open cars will wreck next time.
It wouldn't shock me.
Given how this one's gone, keeping it clean next week is going to be the key, I think, in order to take home the Daytona win. Keeping it up front, keeping it clean. And the guys who are going to have the best shot at that are the guys who start up there and the guys who finish up front in this race to already start with that good track position. So, you know, Josh Robin, James Heater, Matthew Weeks, Jeff Green, if they can keep it and finish in these spots, they'll have that advantage to start next week.
Yeah, Scott Crump, he's going to have himself a tough starting spot next week as well. He goes a lap down, or 2 laps down actually now.
I don't know. You guys might have to check. Were there any spicy words mentioned between Adams and Crump? Crump tends to be a fiery guy.
I got volume turned down too much to hear it, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked.
That sure seems like something that could have ignited a little early fire. But guys with damage, Matthew Bayukin 7th, Josh Adams 8th, Dallas Myhan 9th, Robert Hill 10th. Hill's going to be one racing his way in. Dylan Thomas is back up to 11th after damage. Sobel is 12th. Clark is 13th. Trey Holmes is back to 14th. Zach Evans is now 15th.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of speed those guys have. But, I mean, if they can – I mean, Sobel's biggest blessing might have been him hitting the wall there because he was able to sneak through all that. Yeah, he's still got a little bit of damage on that right side, but it's a lot less than a lot of those guys that he's racing.
Yep. And Sobel's already locked in. He made it in on time, so he might be all right. So it's one of these guys, Trey Holmes, Zach Evans, maybe Kevin Finn can sneak that 44 through. He got a little damage in that first rack, but he hasn't really been at the same snuff as the rest of the field. But now that he's got no damage, he might be one of the healthiest cars in the field, might be able to wrap up a top 10.
Yeah, Kevin Finn, good to see him back too. I used to race with him. Me and Johnny and Handshot and a couple of those guys raced with him in 3-wide racing back in 2019, 2018. And he always super respectful guy on the track, so cool to see him back in league racing as we're green flag again with 6 to go. Weeks green Rexing. Rexing putting the bumper to him. Green actually beat Weeks to the line there. We'll see how that's called.
9 cars way off the pace in the back of the field. That's a bad sight to see for the Michael Daniel Martinez fans.
Yeah, Trey Holmes is keeping pace pretty well, and he's got a friend in Joshua Clark behind him, so Clark's going to let him in line there, and they'll be running about 13th as Zach Evans looks like he blew up in the back of the field.
Oh, another tough break. Zach, once again, though, Zach did tell me he's just here to have fun. He wants to have some fun, so hopefully he did tonight.
Zach knows how to not have fun.
That's true. Honest. He's a great guy. Always has fun. Rexing is all over the back bumper of Weeks, and then Leininger up to 3rd. Massey and Green battling for 4th. And it's spreading out a little bit. Bayuk's car looks like it has some nose damage, and it's really holding up the pack.
Yeah, he's going to hold up that top line right here. That's going to be crucial for Trey Holmes to squeeze it in right there.
I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
Squeeze it. You're clear.
Tough for Trey, but working for your other teammate there, Robert Hill.
Oh, Trey just got doored by Sobel.
Oh, and Trey up into the wall.
Yeah, Sobel threw it in the corner and doored him. Rexing goes for the lead. Who's going to lead this lap? Rexing got it. Weeks is going to be able to side draft back to the door of him, getting into 1, and he's got the help. Rexing's going to have to really get this thing to stick in 1 and 2 to be able to take the lead, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He's going to be under fire from Leininger for 2nd.
Damian Leininger, I think he'll take this run every single week. He was not very confident going into this race, and he's been right there in the top group the entire race.
Well, it is Damian. We still got 3 laps.
No, we got 3 laps for him to crash that old 12 car,
Yeah, that 12 car. It's got, I don't know what the deal is with it.
Maybe it's the lime green that'll help the luck with it, but he was worried about hitting the wall. He hadn't done it yet this race. Rexing's, though, coming back up top. Is Massey going to go to the top side and try to help Rexing win?
No, he's going to push Damian by, and then that's when he'll make his move. Coming to 2 to go this next time by. It looks like Robert Hill is in 9th place.
Yep.
You top open, and then
Kevin Finn.
Sobel.
Finn's the next one. Sobel's locked in on speed.
Locked, so Finn's next. Then Whitley.
Yep.
And Trey Holmes way back in 20th now.
So good run for Kevin Finn.
Tough duel 1 for Fueled Up Racing. His leader's getting racy with it.
Rexing's really pushing hard. He's keeping Damian really pinched down, forcing Damian to not run the line he wants, and it's giving Rexing a good shove. Massey being up top is helping that 07 car. He's going for the lead on Matthew Weeks. He's going to clear Damian. Oh, almost.
We've seen a Dodge number 12 car win at Daytona before in real life, and we've also seen a number 11 Toyota win it a couple times. So,
well, it's a dual race now, and they're side by side coming to the white. Cameron Rich bounces it off the fence. He's okay. He keeps it going.
Yeah, coming to the white.
Ooh,
Weeks
man.
Sideways.
Here they come.
Massey going to go with Rexing. Rexing leads that lap. White flag in duel number 1.
Yep, the outside lane was a little better coming to the white. Can Weeks do anything about that? Green now to the bottom as well. So the bottom lane has 3 cars. Top lane doesn't really.
Rexing's going to have a huge run off the turn 2 here.
Ooh, Robert Hill hit the wall.
Oh, Leininger into the...
Leininger wrecked it.
Wrecks.
Oh, shocker. The
Rex-
12 is around. Here comes
Rexing has
Rexing.
the point. It's going to be a race for second between Weeks and Massey.
Yep, and Rexing driving away from him here. Can Weeks get back to him? He led the whole race, but it might be too late. Jared Rexing off turn 4.
Yeah,
Rexing's
good
going to
drive by
win.
Rexing. Good drive
Duel
by
number
Weeks.
1. Wow.
And let's see how those open drivers fared.
Whitley 8th, Hill 9th, Finn 12th, Trey Holmes 15th. Yep. Leininger and Green wrecking gave some spots to some of those other guys.
Yeah, Green and Leininger are going to have a race to the line here. Leininger's still burning it down.
Man. Tough break. They were both up there the whole race and wreck it on the last lap. Gonna have to be real patient.
Yeah,
it can end that quickly.
Don't think there's anything they could have done either. Weeks through the block on the 12, and they both had the run. But I'm gonna head back down to my team chat.
Yep.
Hopefully, I'll be talking to you here in a little bit.
Thanks for coming, Tate.
Thanks for having me.
So an exciting first race there, Dom. Any ideas about what we're going to see this time? I don't know anymore.
Well, I don't know, but you guys, I think Tate mentioned it earlier in that race. You guys were questioning a little bit about Nick Massey there, just a little bit, and look at that. He makes his way into third. I know he got help a little bit there with a bunch of cars getting piled up, but he obviously had something figured out because he charged up to a third place finish. And you mentioned it too, David. Another takeaway, some guys that maybe you haven't heard of or joining the series this year that weren't with us last year. Rexing takes the first dual win here. So some guys maybe going to change things up a little bit this year.
Yeah, absolutely right. I'm wondering if the addition of so many names is really going to shift the balance of who all is the cars to beat here in ERSCA. James Heater on the pole for this one. He'll start second next week. And Heater's been one of those guys, I think, in our preseason show, Johnny talked up James Heater a good bit, that he would be one of those guys to watch out for this season in that 18 car. Gerald Campbell there in third. He was real fast in all of our practice sessions as well. Nick Indelicato has been a bit snake bitten in the ERSCA series, but still looking, I think, for that first win. And in through this top 10, the first one who's not locked in is Chris Worrell in the 06 car. He'll be one of those looking to move forward. So is Christopher Darling. And the top spot they need to get to is 9th. So if they can beat 9th, they will be locked in. Otherwise, going to have to, say your prayers.
Yeah, and you talked about it, David. There's more names in here, and I don't know if it's going to change things up so much as it's just going to make it that much more competitive. I mean, you still got those guys like Ethan Burrell, Nick Massey, all the one Tate Lytle, those guys we saw up front all year long last year. But if we have some guys that we added in that can come up there and compete with those guys, it's just going to make it that much more competitive this season.
Yeah, a couple of those got that with a new car, and these guys are going to have to be practicing and understanding, as opposed to a car they've run hundreds of times. It really might even the playing field up a little bit. A number of other guys here as we look back through the field that need to race their way in. We'll try to keep it all for you, but pace car's pulling in. Green flag going to be out in the second dual race, and James Heater bringing them down to the green. Gerald Campbell pushing him. They'll go right on by Holzer. Campbell already trying to maybe look to the middle for the lead. Holzer actually gets a much better run. He'll cut down in front of Heater.
Heater was one of those guys that had kind of an up and down year last year. Would have some success, have a little bit of bad luck, but I think I agree with Johnny. Give him a little bit of confidence, give him some time in this car, and he might be able to challenge up here this season as well.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Another guy right here in 5th place, Johnny Thomas. I think that's someone we're going to need to watch out for. Johnny's put in a ton of laps into this car, trying to make it good. 1 in the wall, 2 in the wall on lap number 1. Not entirely sure who that was. Think it was Jack. No, one Jack Eli.
Jared Darling, maybe?
Darling, yep, in the 1 car. As well as Worrell in the 06. Austin Beers in there in the 64. He'll be one of the ones trying to race his way in. It's like the 13 of Christopher Darling made it through that. So did Jack Eli in the 80. Both of them need to race their way in. We're going to try to grab the Duel 1 winner and bring him up. That'll be Jared Rexing if we can. While Duel 2 is taking place, the caution's out. Now might be the time to do it. Where's the wreck? It's there off turn 4. And onto the front straightaway. It's like the 20 of Garen Turner involved in that one. Michael Goodman as well. Ooh, a lot of netcode is going to be this one. So 20 of Turner, 30 of Goodman. Goodman's going to bounce it off the wall and come down the track a little bit, but he did not come all the way down. Watch that 20 car jump up in the air from not contact. So frustrating bit of netcode there, but now is the time to grab an interview if we can get one. Let's see Rexing in the oh, there he is. Should we pull him in? All right. All right. We're gonna grab Jared Rexing here and see if we can talk to him after winning Duel number 1. Jared, you there? You got a copy?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
Yeah, Jared, how'd you pull that one off, man? It looked like you found the top lane right when you needed to, and made the late pass for the win. Were you always planning to go to the top there, or what was your kind of idea coming to the checkered flag there?
My game plan all along was to hold the bottom and keep that rolling to the end, but I got stuck on the outside so many times before that final run. I thought I could make it work. No one really went with me till the end, and I think me holding my own out there so long kind of gained some confidence in the other guys to help me. But yeah, that was fun. Lot funner than I expected, really, and glad I could get the win, start third behind my teammate Robin. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, Jared, and what's you gonna stay up front, try to lead all the laps next week, or are you thinking about moving to the back and trying to avoid one of these big wrecks? Because it seems like they're kind of plentiful right now.
My philosophy is to try and be ahead of the wrecks. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but it's a lot more fun when you're up front racing than in the back waiting around for something to happen that may never happen. So I'm going to give it my all every lap and try to lead laps.
That sounds good, man. Well, are you looking to make a run at the championship too? And do you think this starts you off with a nice little boost towards maybe being a serious threat for the championship later this year?
Yeah, it's a good confidence boost, but I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get to our first mile and a half, or a track that you really got to drive. I don't think this is the best track to gauge that. So we'll see what happens after the Daytona race and the following weeks. But yeah.
Sounds good, Jared. Well, is there anybody you want to thank here before we send you off?
Aggressive Eagle, everyone who made it, those who didn't, that sucks, but we'll try to get them in the next race, and good luck to Gerald in this second duel.
All right, thank you, Jared.
Thanks.
Jared Rexing, Duel 1 winner. Got him in here in the caution flag, and James Holzer will be leading us back to the green. Gerald Campbell second, James Heater third. A lot of guys in the back did come down pit road and grab tires, including our guy Tate Lytle there. He went and got tires. He felt like it was worth it since he didn't have front end track position to come grab tires. I wonder if that was the right call.
Might be might have noticed something there while he was helping us call the race. I don't know if we obviously didn't have the caution this early in the first dual race, but maybe picked up on something, saw maybe a little difference from just sitting up here in the booth with us for a few minutes.
Yeah, perhaps. I'm very interested to see if he can carve his way through the field. He is routinely one of those fast guys in those practice races, so he'll need to move on forward if he wants to have a good starting spot next week. Pace car about to pull in for James Holzer. 17 leading here in his first ERSCA race. Green flag out again. Big jump for the 17. Man, he gets through the gears really well. Ooh, Eisenman about ran it over into the wall there, and they're 3 wide in the middle of the pack. Eisenman in the 66. He needs to race his way in, and he just about wadded him up there with Worrell in the 06. Couple of guys that are open cars. Once again, I just don't know if I'd be making those risks if I need to race my way in. They don't seem to care. Worrell to the outside in this big pack, and Delicato up there wiggling and blinking. Burrell jumps to the bottom underneath him. 13 car, that's another open car of Darling, Christopher Darling. It's all good. We are spread out a lot more than I think we have been yet. Gerald Campbell onto the apron. Just about got wadded up there. Up in the wall goes in Delicato.
Feels like more guys are maybe trying to get up to that high line here in this second dual race than what we saw in the first one. Guys moving around a little bit more, searching the racetrack. Still that bottom line's the preferred line, but they're definitely trying to get up there. And here goes Campbell with a move again to the outside.
Gerald Campbell trying everything to lead these laps. That 31 car, very aggressive early on in this race. Kind of suiting Gerald Campbell, though. That's about what he does every race.
Kind of side drafted off Campbell there, or off Holzer there just a little bit. Got him a little loose, and now there's a big run on the bottom line coming here. They're getting all stacked back up again.
Yep, Heater trying to get back underneath Campbell. Worrell trying to work his way up to the outside of Ethan Burrell. Man, those guys are real squirrely coming off the corner. Kwame Scott up here into 5th place. Right behind Johnny Thomas. Johnny looking real strong. Hasn't really made any moves yet. Just staying rock solid on the bottom, holding his line. Go on board with him here for a lap or so. Well, they didn't show up for the beginning of the broadcast then.
Johnny just made a move for that 3rd place spot. Got helped out a little bit there by Heater, getting moved up the racetrack, and he'll move into 3rd now and try to catch up with Campbell. 2nd place starter James Heater heading backwards here. As soon as he got rooted out of the bottom lane, it seems like he's falling back. Worrell now underneath him for that 5th spot. That's 6th even. So for those of you watching online, streaming here on Belly Up Sports TV and 3 Wide TV, I'm Dom Santina alongside David Westergreen, back here for another season of ERSCA Belly Up Sports. We're here in the duels, getting ready in duel number 2, about halfway through. Trying to wreck back there. I think that's the 80 car of Fry, or Eli, yep. In the 80, he's squirrely. It's Joe Francis, the last winner of an ERSCA race at Daytona. Oh, and Beers hits the wall in the 64. He'll go backwards. Here's Tate Lytle. There he goes. 56 car flashing by on the bottom. About 15th right now. I don't think that's where Tate wants to be. Just having to run side by side, having to use up his tires to make moves. Definitely not the way you want to do it. But Johnny Thomas has been kicked to the top at the front of the field. And by goes Kwame Scott, by goes Ethan Burrell, and Chris Worrell now into the top 5. Thomas now back outside the top 5 and 6th, and he's having to battle for it with Chris Darling. Here comes Burrell off the top side, and Campbell going to take a look underneath for the race lead on Holzer here, and he's going to have the inside line and new race leader, Gerald Campbell, to the point.
He's been trying that move for about 10 laps now, and he's gone every which way but successful. He's going to, oh man, they are running real close between he and Holzer. Burrell coming up top.
Through the middle.
What he did, and he's looking to the middle now. Ethan Burrell with a huge move.
Campbell's going to lose the most out of that. He's going to fall back to about the 5th position.
That was a monster move by Ethan Burrell. Very, very bold, but very, very risky. A couple of guys who are locked in, they can afford to take those risks. Scott now pushing Holzer, and Worrell now into the top 5. He's pushing Burrell on the top side.
Holzer's felt a ton of pressure for this race lead, but he's been able to hold everybody off so far. Might have lost it for a second or two, but he's been able to get the run to get it right back.
Burrell now kind of feeling the effects of the outside lane without any drafting help. A loose third to Campbell. Darling now hunting after Burrell for 4th. Little loose off the corner, though.
Scott going to the outside. He's going to try to make a run at Holzer this time.
Burrell going with Scott. Didn't really have the run to make a push there, and Scott way up top. That won't generate any speed.
And just like that, Gerald Campbell back to the 2nd spot. And Holzer went up to block. Now he comes back across. They're going to swap lanes here. Campbell going to go to the outside and try it once again on the attack for the race lead.
Campbell's done this a couple of times. He just drifts up really high, and it doesn't allow for any run off the corner. And Holzer is able to drive through, and Scott in the wall. He holds it up there. Thomas tries to take advantage, but it's a 4-car breakaway up front.
Now who does Holzer go with? Eventually Campbell will tuck in line, but he had Burrell and Campbell side by side behind him.
Tate Lytle caught that rear pack when they checked up for Scott hitting the wall. So move Tate Lytle into 13th, and he's definitely coming. I'm watching out that 56 car. He's got the tires. None of these other guys seem to have any fresh tires. Even if it's just a couple of laps newer, I think that gives Tate a big advantage.
You know, and that might have even just been something for him to try. Obviously, it's going to be a little later at night when we go racing next week, but just to see how much the tires play an advantage, Tate might be trying to pick up on stuff and learn stuff for next week as well.
Holzer throws a block on Burrell, and Burrell just about got sent into the wall. Single file, though, back through the field. This one looking to be a little more green flag heavy, a little more clean. Quick update on the open cars. Drew Eisenman in 10th. Oh, and Burrell and Holzer into each other. Can Holzer come back? He's just going to drive right back up the track. My goodness. And that gives Gerald Campbell a huge lead.
Could have been a lot worse than what it actually was there.
A lot of courtesy shown to to Holzer right there. I don't know what kind of move that was. And yeah, now they're going to wreck here. So big flip. Not entirely sure who that is. Cooper Johnson's involved. Is that Steinmiller? No, it's not. Nope, Steinmiller made it through that. It's the 16. Looks like Isabella's wrecked. 16 is David Morin. It's been taken out in this one. Impressive moves by Zishan Dura and Hank Steinmiller right here to get through this wreck. That was rather impressive. Well, there's the spin. It's the 16 getting spun by the 80. 15 upside down. 16 upside down. Yep, first flip of the season. I will say, this move by Zishan and Steinmiller, that was you might want to go on board for that one. Here's the spin by the 16 car of Morin. No overcorrection, and up and over he goes. As his day, it comes to an end in his week, as he won't make the race. Isabella won't make the race. Cooper Johnson won't make the race. We also lost the 22 of Matt Beamer a while back. He won't make it. Man, helping old Trey Holmes there. Trey's going to be 15th. I don't know how many open cars are going to finish top 15 in this race. Boom, up and over they go. Watch Hank Steinmiller trying to drive to the inside. Just avoid it. Zishan the same. Michael Goodman as well. Good avoidance by those guys. We also might want to go take a look back at what happened there for the lead between Burrell and Holzer.
Burrell got a little loose. I don't know if it was net code or whatever, but he kind of came down just a little bit. We'll watch it here. Carlos going to dial up the replay once again. Yeah.
Holzer had caused it too. He drove up the track. I think he was out of control there too. Yep. Impressive move by Ethan Burrell there. Just slammed on the brakes and avoided Holzer coming back up the track, prevented a big pile up that would have taken out all these cars. Not entirely sure why Holzer drove up to next to Burrell here. Given net code, seems like that would be risky.
Burrell's car almost just went 90 degrees dead left, though, if it wasn't for Holzer being right there.
Yeah, that was all the makings of a 15-car wreck taking out our entire lead group that never materialized. Man, that was close. So, pit stops have occurred while we've been checking all the various replays. Gerald Campbell, the leader now. Chris Darling, second. One of the shift cars is third. I think it's the 02 of Seth Rawls, who does need to race his way into the feature. So, Darling and Rawls currently would be locked in. Eisenman as well. So, those would be the ones to keep your eye on. If they can finish where they are or just above, they would be good to go. Garen Turner and Darling 11th and 12th there after the pit stop. Worrell all the way back to 14th. He and Burrell must have been fixing damage. You guys were posting their tire numbers there, and they're all in the 80s for that longer run. And Delicato is 5th. He was one of the ones posting that he was in the 80s in terms of percentage of tire left, which I think is pretty good. That's pretty good tire wear for some of these guys. I think they were managing it a little bit better. You know who was not managing it, though, was Gerald Campbell and the 17 car of James Holzer, who is now back in 19th. Although Holzer is locked in based on speed, so he does not have to race his way in here in the closing laps.
Like I said, with Tate, some of these guys that are locked in, and this is almost a test session for them. They can try some stuff, see how the car reacts. David mentioned that this is a new car compared to last year. Guys have had some practice time, but not a ton, especially in these race situations. So they can kind of see how this car reacts and see what they can do with it and maybe pick a few things up for next weekend or next Monday.
Yep. You got two teammates there in third and fourth in that second row, Seth Rawls and Indelicato, and Rawls needs to race his way into this race. He did not qualify on time, so wonder if Indelicato is going to try to dedicate to helping that 02 car. And then if I'm looking at two guys who are going to be able to work together here to try to move up, Johnny Thomas and Tate Lytle work very well together. They're teammates on another team, my team, and they are two of the more aggressive guys who are definitely going to be pushing up, trying to steal a win away from Gerald Campbell and Chris Darling. So I'd be on the lookout for those two here as the laps wind down. We'll be at 10 to go when we hit the line. Gerald Campbell, the leader. Pace car is off. And Indelicato blinks out as soon as the green flag hits. So I think race control might be watching out for that 01 car, but he's trying to get in behind his teammate. Couldn't do it. Heater wouldn't let him. But Rawls trying to take second from Darling. He'll get it.
Nick's having some pretty bad blinking issues here off this restart.
Yep. Wonder if he'll be getting a warning from Johnny Eckert in race control. Johnny does a great job. Kyle Hanshaw's up there today as well. And man, Darling with a power move on Rawls takes second back. He'll be looking for the lead in that 13 car. 3 open cars here in the top 6. All of them need to keep it clean in order to make it into the race next week. Delicato blinking, though that would freak me out if I was an open car right up there in the top 5. I'd be on the radio screaming for him to get moved to the back. Heater looking topside on Rawls. He won't have anything, tucks it back in line. That would hook up the shift dodges in Rawls and in Delicato, so maybe not the best move for Heater. Tate and Johnny are side by side back in the field. They aren't working together at all. Campbell holding serve. That 31 car is strong. Battles back in the field. Hank Steinmiller moving up after dodging that wreck. He's now in 12th. Worrell is back there with Holzer and Garen Turner. All those guys doing battle for maybe a transfer spot. Rawls left the bottom open. And Heater goes to the top. That gets Rawls connected with his teammate in Delicato. Ooh, man, the 01 car up in the wall. They're going to be wrecking. One flipping over. It's Chris Worrell. At least 2 or 3 more involved. A lot more involved now. Steinmiller is in it. 17 car of Holzer, who was maybe the fastest car here earlier. Big wreck as Chris Worrell's dream up into the catch fence. Looks like that all started with the 1 car of Darling. And it looks like Steinmiller and the 17 got together. It's like the 17 just drove it into the 63 car, and the 06 up in the wall, 17 around, Hanshaw's in it, Eli is in it. Big wreck there. Zishan Dura got damage. Here we go. Oh, man. And up and over goes Chris Worrell. We might need a... I'm trying to take another look and see between Steinmiller and Holzer how that went, or why that went the way it did there. Poor Kyle Hanshaw, minding his own business there, just involved in a wreck. And Hanshaw gets like stopped by the wall there.
Don't know how many more times you'll see that type of wreck.
Mm-hmm. Just confused by this move by Holzer. The more I look at it, maybe netcode. Now that I'm kind of finally seeing it. Nah, I don't know. We'll let race control take that one, but looks to me like the 17 just kind of drove it in there and dumped the 63. 5 car involved, Cameron Perez. He'll have to piece it together if he wants to get in. Yep, here comes Holzer, and you just watch him just drive it in there and just drive right through Hank Steinmiller.
Yeah, I was going to say, when I saw that first look, it looked like he kind of just drove it underneath and tried to force his way through on the bottom line there, and obviously didn't work.
Yeah, I don't know. That's tough for Hank Steinmiller, tough for some of these other guys who are not going to get an opportunity to race next week. It does open the door, though. I think Darling and Rawls, with these laps ticking off, there's no green-white checkered. So I'm not entirely sure how long or when we'll get the race restarted, but there will not be many laps left. Yep. Yeah. Hank checked up. Darling or Holzer didn't. Yeah, because the one car was hitting the wall right about that point. Ethan Burrell got into him. He's going to have a little damage.
Well, David, we might not have an actual green-white checkered, but we might have a natural green-white checkered here because it's looking like we're probably going to go green with about 3 to go.
Yeah, that'll do it. One car staying on the racetrack, too, Jared Darling with his damage, so 8th place might be holding things up. I think Cameron Perez is also staying on the track with damage. These guys just trying to get it to the end and hoping that they're in. By my count, in would be Darling, Rawls, Eisenman, the other Darling, Jared, and then Mark Whitley, Robert Hill, and then it's a tie, I think, between Kevin Finn and Garen Turner. They're both 12th.
That would go back to qualifying time then again, right? I think that's a tiebreaker.
It would, and so whoever was faster in qualifying would get it among those guys. Cameron Perez is right behind Turner in 13th. So rough calculations, not at all guaranteed, but looking good. If Rawls and Darling can make it, stay where they are, they will make it into the race. Eisenman the same, Jared Darling the same, though that car is damaged. Yeah, this will not be green, white, checkered. It will be a green 2 to go. Or green 2 laps, then the white, then the checker. Excuse me.
So if you're one of these front guys up here trying to race your way in, hopefully someone told you to try to keep it as calm as possible up front and just finish this one out, and you're into the big show next Monday.
Yep. But if you're James Heater, Gerald Campbell, Nick Indelicato, maybe even not necessarily Indelicato, but Tate Lytle, Johnny Thomas, those guys are locked. They're coming to the front. They're going to try to get in there and race their way in. Pace car is off.
Going back to green here. I know Indelicato is probably in a little bit of a tough situation with his teammate in front of him, but with how much snake bitten he was last year, I'm sure he'd love to start this season off with a dual win here early.
Maybe Indelicato's plan is to push old Seth Rawls by Gerald Campbell. Pick up a little team win here as Rawls challenging Darling for second. Indelicato in and out of the server. But that push is definitely there. Eisenman slices to the bottom. He probably wants to just ride this one out.
Oh, there goes Indelicato.
I think that was because of the blinking. And they're going to wreck behind him. Indelicato spins. He takes out several. 5 cars through. And that might end the race. In fact, I think it will, given that Johnny said there were probably no green, white. Oh, nope, green, white checkered is in. How about that?
Tate Lytle was the one right behind Indelicato there. And I don't know if they made contact or not, but blinking definitely played a factor.
Yeah, I think for sure Tate drove where he thought Indelicato was, and Indelicato's car changed locations. See, it's out right there, and now it's back in, and he's spinning. Just like that. So, internet problems for Indelicato, and it takes a big toll on the field. Yeah, Indelicato can't have that going down the back straightaway, completely blinking out, and then wrecking the field there. See, he goes through Tate, and it's not until the game registers that it shows up. What a move by Austin Beers to get through there, and that'll put him in position to make the race. Oh, yeah, Johnny Thomas got pounded. He was up on the outside lane there. Nowhere to go for Johnny. Let's watch Austin Beers on the in car there. That was an impressive move. Well, maybe a little moving, but Chris Worrell, a little mad at James Holzer for spinning him out. Or spinning out Steinmiller and wrecking up the 06 car. Yeah, on board with Indelicato. You won't see much here. All of a sudden. Yeah. There goes Thomas. Joe Francis involved. Garen Turner involved. Turner and Cameron Perez are staying on the track. Johnny Thomas has also stayed on the track. Just might as well, right? At this point, with only a couple of laps to go, try to hold off as many as you can. Darling and Rawls still in the race, and Eisenman as well. Those are the open cars that are still around. Perez would be in, and then it's 12th place is the cutoff there for the second car, or the third car, rather, in the first race. So we've got 4 and then 2. So actually, Perez would not be in. He would need to get to 9th. This math is hard. We don't just have an auto feature that sims it up, but there it is. It's going to be 9th place. Robert Hill would be the last car in right now by my calculation. Darling, Rawls, Eisenman, and then Whitley, Hill, and then Perez. Okay, so the 6 is Perez. So he's in, barely. And he needs to beat 12th. Setting it up. 1 lap to go. Here we go. Campbell the leader. Our co-host in the booth, Tate Lytle, running 5th. See if old Tate can go after Seth Rawls and James Heater here and try to snag himself a win. But with Darling and Rawls just really playing it safe, trying to get to the finish, it makes it really tough to make any passes because those guys are just kind of holding their station, trying to make sure they make the race next week. The cars to watch: Cameron Perez, Austin Beers, Garen Turner. I think Zishan Dura as well. Double check that. No, Dura's locked. So then it'll be Jack Eli back there. Those are the guys to watch. Campbell the leader. The belly up ERSCA duels coming to their conclusion. And we'll set the grid for next week's Daytona 250. Pace car is off. Campbell takes the green flag, and back in the field, the slow cars stack it up. Tate all over the back bumper of Rawls. Rawls through to second on Darling.
Tate's into third.
Tate's going to jump to the outside on Rawls right here. Heater's going to go with him. The Toyota's trying to go up top and make a move. Rawls just pulls it to the inside. He knows he's in. If he can just hang on to that spot right there. Tate Lytle into second. Him and Gerald Campbell now going to fight it out for the win. One in the wall in the back. Never mind. Here comes Tate Lytle. White flag is out. Lytle after Gerald Campbell.
Tate being very aggressive here on this final restart. Can he get a run into the corner and clear Campbell? Not quite able to do it. Might have to tuck back in.
He did see that Jared Rexing made the top line work, so he's going to try it again on the back straightaway. He doesn't have help because Seth Rawls is not wanting to give up any time on the bottom. It's going to be a drag race down to the finish line right here between Lytle and Campbell.
I think Campbell's got that preferred line right now, unless Lytle can get a big run out of the corner.
Oh, they banged into each other. Here comes Rawls. Who's it going to be at the line? Tate Lytle wins it. Oh, what a finish. Gerald Campbell still flipping upside down. Tate Lytle by 0.02 of a second. Seth Rawls is into the 250. Christopher Darling is into the 250. Drew Eisenman is in. Austin Beers is in. It's going to be, I believe... Oh, man. Oh, because there's a feature. We're going to need... Oh, man, I wish we had replay of that. Oh, no. I think Garen Turner is going to be in. It's either Garen Turner or Robert Hill for 9th, and it depends on who qualified faster, I believe. And Whitley. Yeah, it's Turner. It's a tiebreaker between Turner and Hill. Crunching the numbers. And Garen Turner's going to be in the show based on qualifying time over Robert Hill. We got to bring up Tate Lytle for that finish. While we await results from the stewards, Tate did win the race. So, Tate, well, we talked to you a little there, and did you learn anything?
Learn anything from what? That was crazy. Oh, man.
What a
that
finish,
was wild.
Man. That was awesome. That was great racing right there between you and Gerald. Did you make that move to the outside because you saw it work in the first race, or were you just hanging it all out there?
Well, I knew the move on the outside of 1 and 2 was going to be a little more questionable, just because of how tight it is off turn 2. But it felt pretty good on the top of 3 and 4, and I made that move on Seth coming to the white. And I felt like I just roasted both of them going into the corner. I was like, oh, well, if we can get to the outside of Gerald down the back, then we got a chance. And I got such a big run on him that I ended up going to the outside of 1 and 2. And I had enough room off the corner. I was like, I'm going to just kind of let out of the gas a little bit, diamond it, get that nice run. And then I got back to his outside. And I was going to try to get to his inside just because I knew that would be an easier pass. But, yeah, then beating bang into the line, got him by about, I don't even know, 200s? Yeah.
It says 200s.
200s. So, yeah, I missed the start after coming up and joining you guys in the booth. Hold on, let me mute this. I can't focus and listen. I forgot to turn my sound back up on my sim. So it's like 6 seconds left in gridding. I tried backing out and fixing it, but it was too late. And, yeah, last to first there. So we'll get to start 4th in the 250 next week, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, good work. And the amount of power you showed there at the end, that was some race winning pace. Are you going to be able to use that move again, or do you think your competitors will have watched this back and learned a thing or two about taking that outside lane on the last lap?
I mean, hopefully they've done enough practice where they know kind of how that works. I know me and my boys, we've been practicing off and on for, a solid month. So we've done enough laps around here to I kind of understand the limits of the car and the track. And I feel bad getting into Indelicato. I don't know how it looked on your guys' end, but he wasn't even in front of me until he was on the apron already spinning out. So I feel bad I got into him, but...
Yeah, on our end, it was a complete blink out on the 01's end. So
yeah, and I kind of lost my frame of reference there. And yeah, I hate that he got wrecked. So, but
yeah. Well, Tate, anybody you want to thank here after winning duel number 2?
Yeah, I gotta go check out Days Gone By Vintage Racing Apparel. My boy Brent Wentz, he just got off of a 9th overall finish at the Rolex 24 as a spotter. So, shout out to him. Go support his business. He does a lot for all of us, really. And I know I've spent a lot of money on his website So if you're still listening, I always say if you're still listening at this point, then you've got a vested interest. You might as well go check him out. He's got a lot of cool stuff on there. You guys for watching us race fake race cars, and yeah, we got a good starting spot for next week. And it was a fun one to win. Me and Gerald doorbang into the line.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on duel win number 2, Tate, and we'll look forward to seeing you race for it next week.
Sounds good. Don't pick me next week. Pick someone else. I don't want you picking me.
I promise I won't. All right. Well, with that, do we want to talk to Gerald, or do we have replay? We have a replay. Oh, no, we don't. All right. Well, Carlos is working on it. He's doing his best. iRacing is a little finicky, especially with this darn heat system, where we ran both the duels in heat format. So that's causing Carlos a little bit of trouble here. But Dom, if today was anything relating to next week, it's gonna be an awesome show next Monday night with 43 cars out there.
Yeah, you put the whole field out there. It got a little bit broken up here in duel number 2, but put the whole field out there, put them out there for a lot more laps, and it's going to be a lot more aggressive than what we saw tonight, and it's going to be a fun one to watch for sure.
Absolutely. All right, we finally do have a replay of that last lap wreck and finish here, and Gerald and Tate door bang into the line. Seth Rawls finishing it completely sideways. Tate takes it outside lane. Seemed to be the dominant finishing spot there. Jared Rexing took it to the win in race 1. Tate took it to the win in race 2. Great run by Gerald, but just chose the wrong line. Gerald Weeks, both of those guys will be contenders next week, I think, for sure. Tate's going to be a contender, obviously Rexing as well, since they won the race. Going to be a really fun race next week, I think, with longer distance. Some of these guys are going to need to, it's going to be tough to make it the full distance without wrecking a lot of cars, and attrition might play a factor next week. So here's the gyro cam for Gerald Campbell. We'll send you off with this, the finish of duel number 2, the ERSCA Belly Up Sports Duels. Gerald finishing second, just barely, to Tate Lytle. You know what? Actually, since he's here, why don't we bring up our top open finisher who made the race, Seth Rawls. I think that'd be a good one to send off on, because that'll be your most excited, I think, of anybody. So let's bring him in. Seth Rawls, you got a copy?
I do.
Seth, you ran a flawless race there, man. Way to go. You're locked into the race next week with a 3rd place finish.
That was insane, I would say.
Yeah, do you have any thoughts of winning there when those guys started beating and banging on each other?
My thought was to just give it all I could out of turn 4, but I don't know. I just couldn't really judge the run, but that's good to know for next week, obviously, when I'm in the race. But I think the main goal tonight was to finish the race and make the race.
And with that, you're locked in. You're going to have a really good starting position. Are you going to be able to go in there and finish this thing out next week and try to take home a win?
Hopefully, that'd be a great way to start up the season, I think. Hopefully, just all the shift guys. I'm really happy with that. All the shift guys are in the race. So that's awesome. So that was a great teamwork by everyone tonight. We'll meet up and plan on next week and give it our all.
Well, then the other question is, are you going to get Nick and Delicato a new router?
We're going to have to figure that out. That'll be something we'll have to figure out this week. Ethernet router. We are doing a GoFundMe, I think. I'll let you guys know. Keep an eye on Twitter. Yeah, hopefully he'll be better by next week.
Now, when he slid in behind you there, was he trying to help you and push you to the line, or was that just natural?
Where he wrecked?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just I didn't want to pass Gerald because it wasn't necessary to pass him. I was really just playing my own race. So I checked up, and I think when he checked up, he blinked out, and then Tate got back into him. So yeah, definitely an internet problem on that one, but the idea was there. The execution was not.
I gotcha. And anybody you want to shout out here before we send you off?
Yeah, I'll shout out myself, I guess, SethRollsDesign.com. We're doing a 3-lap race for a free paint scheme right now if you want to watch. It's the feature race. But check me out. I give you Legos, paint schemes, you name it. And also Shifty Sports. We're trying to start something really fun over there. So follow us, Shifty Sports _ on Twitter and Shifty Sports on Instagram.
Well, with that, we'll send you off and let you get back to this race. And good racing tonight, Seth.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for putting this on.
With that, Seth Rawls to the waiting room, and we will get ready to head off here as they come around. I think this is the last lap. Oh. All right, Carlos is telling us to bring up Gerald, so we'll talk to Gerald for a little bit. Gerald Campbell, you got a copy, buddy?
I got a copy.
So close, man. You led a lot of laps there, but got bested right at the line.
Yeah, I felt better this week racing than I did last week when I had COVID. So, man, feeling good does a lot of good for you in a race car. I had a strong run tonight and felt like I had a good figure on the car. And, man, if I could just get some help on that bottom, like everyone was helping, the bottom line the whole race. And then all of a sudden, the last few laps there, everyone decided that the top lane was who they were going to help. And I had no one behind me for the most part, and then I think the O2 just got my back bumper just a little bit coming to the line, and at that point I knew, like I could see, like I was visibly slowing down to Tate, and it was just a gamble. I was like, man, if I don't get him at the line, even if we wreck, I'm gonna still start up front. So that's the main thing. I think first time in ever, it's actually gonna be very important to start up front at Daytona than years past, just for the mere fact that this car is a handful. This car is a handful. You're having to brake, you're having to do all sorts of things, and the level of consistency from those people up front are going to be a little bit better than maybe some of those in the back that maybe just don't have a handle on the car just yet. So at least I'm going to start up front. I know if I'm going to have to put a bump to Tate, it's going to have to be earlier on than that to make an effect before the finish line. But at least it was entertaining. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
No, it was awesome. It was a great finish. Seemed like a quintessential race to the line there, beating and banging. So, if you go into next week, have you learned anything from this other than, you got to do it a little bit earlier? You going to change lanes? Are you going to change your approach? Or are you just going to stick to the bottom like you did?
Yeah, well, the bottom's going to be very important. I think the bottom's where you're going to have to be for the majority of the race. A lot of people earlier on, if you got that help behind you, the bottom line's not gonna be beaten very easily. So I think the bottom line's going to be important. But at the very end, some people are going to try to drift to the top. So my game plan is to run the bottom, be up front, avoid the carnage, just kind of stay consistently with the guys that I know who I have to beat, make no mistakes, pit correctly, all that. And then at the end, if I find myself in the same position where I've got Tate Lido onto the outside of me, probably not give him as much room going in 3 and 4. I'm probably going to slide up a little bit higher. I was a little bit too nice to him, I think, and I gave him way too much leeway to be able to pick his line and have the run and the momentum coming out of the turn. I think next time, I might have to just kind of pinch that outside to make him almost have to lift just to kind of ruin that momentum because he had too much momentum. I bumped him a couple times trying to get him to ruin it, and it just was – these things are tanks, and just couldn't get him to slow down. So, I think next time going to have to rough him up a little bit more. So, yeah, I look forward to it. If I got to play the bad guy, I'll play the bad guy. I'll play whatever gets me that checker flag. I want it this year. I want to be competitive again. I want people to see me up front and be a consistent name up front this year.
Sounds good, Gerald. Anybody you want to thank here?
Yeah, I mean, awesome job by Aggressive Eagle. I mean, we went out and just did a heck of a job. Got pole with Josh Robin. Jared Rexing went up there and did a heck of a job running up front like that and won his. I didn't do my part, man. I didn't do my part to sweep it for Aggressive Eagle. I didn't win it. So Aggressive Eagle didn't get a clean sweep, but you know, 3 of us in the top 6 for the start of next week is going to be a lot of fun. You know, we're going to hopefully work together and try to make sure that if it comes down to a battle, hopefully it's an Aggressive Eagle car up front, because these things love to fly and these things are fast. And yeah, I look forward to it. I'm really excited for this season.
Well, thanks, Gerald, for coming, and we appreciate it. And man, good race, man. You're looking like one of the favorites next week.
I hope so. I hope I get mentioned a lot. Hopefully that's a common factor.
Sounds good. Well, that's Gerald Campbell, folks, the second place finisher in that photo finish in duel number 2. I'm not entirely sure what our
All right, just sign off.
plan is going forward here, but I think we can finally sign off. And Dom, any closing thoughts here before we head out?
No, just our kind of ERSCA Belly Up Sports 3-Wide TV Speed Weeks has come to a wrap, and we're ready to go real racing here with our first full-length race of the season next Monday night.
It's exciting. I think we saw a couple of really great races tonight, and we're going to see one more amazing one next Monday night. So join us, and we'll at the same time, and we'll be live for a full distance race with 43 cars. Once again, for 3-Wide TV, Belly Up Sports, and ERSCA, I am David Westergreen with Dom Santina and Carlos Acosta saying so long, and we're ready for next week.
All right, and here's a little secret interview we got going on, because there was a secret race after the 2 duels, and joining me here as I'm getting a cramp in my leg is the winner of that 3-lap feature race, Seth Rawls. Seth, how you doing?
Pretty good. That was something right there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep this short because we're supposed to get off air here pretty soon. My watch is telling me it's low on battery, and I just turned on power saving mode by accident. But yeah, it's
We're good, right?
Yeah, we're good. Here's what happened.
Okay.
You got yourself a free paint scheme, man. What's that gonna be?
Well, I was offering the paint scheme, so I'll take it. I do the paint scheme, so I'll do myself a free paint scheme maybe for the upcoming race, maybe.
Yeah, or maybe you charge somebody double for the next paint scheme, since they couldn't get you.
I'll charge Matthew Bay a good double next time.
Or maybe give Chris Warrell a free paint scheme since he technically finished second. But I don't know. That's up to you.
I'll do that. He's nice.
Yeah. So wreck at the end. Duel 1 was calmish. Duel 2 had a lot of flips, and this feature for the paint scheme resulted in all 3 cars getting wrecked, and it seems like all 3 cars are going to need a new coat of paint.
Yeah, we're gonna go to the backup car for our next week for sure. The car is killed.
All right, Seth. Before I let you go, any shout outs you want to give out?
Shout out to you guys for streaming this. I'm very excited to watch all season. I'll watch after the race, obviously. But very excited. I love what you guys do with this and ERSCA. So thank you guys for putting it on.
All right. And with that, we're for sure going to wrap up our broadcast here tonight. I'll see you all next week.
Thanks.